Boards. Board games, board games, it's what I'm talking about. Board games, board games, I'm not gonna shout. I am starting off this streaming with a little bit of singing. Over here in the UK, it's 10 a.m. But where you are, it might be very different. I am not always best with the rhyme, but this is still a song, and this song is mine. I'm talking about the things that I'm gonna talk about. I'm singing about the things I'm gonna not shout about. Board games, it's what we're talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. Now, I am Bez and I'm gonna blather about some things that arguably do not matter, but still board games they entertain. And for me, they are arguably the main thing that currently I enjoy. For happiness, you can employ board games, it's what we're talking about. Board games, I'm not gonna shout. Hello, so as I said, I am Bez. It is bedtime in some countries, and I'm blethering about board games. And today I am checking in with myself and doing a quick Ask Me Anything. If anyone has any questions, no matter how silly, then I will get to them right at the start. Yeah, first of all, I want to talk about a brilliant thing. A brilliant thing. What's a little thing which is brilliant? You know, I like sunsets and also sunrises. I like twilight. I like dusk. I like it when there's sorts of, you know, it's not quite dark. It's not quite bright. There's, a magical light. That's maybe the light's coming from a really low angle, which changes everything, and it just makes the world feel a little bit more magical. And also all the colors go on in the clouds. That's quite a nice thing. And so yeah, sunsets. Yeah. And so a recent thing that I've started doing is having a wee bit of a wander around maybe 7 p.m., 8 p.m. 7 p.m. is the time that I prefer, because over here, that's when it starts to have the sun going down, and again, just enjoying things. But, I also enjoy just the sun in the middle of the day, but that's a different thing that I'll talk about later. So let's move on to recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights, recent highlights. I'm going to quickly go to my Twitter because I did share a few photos this morning, and here it is. So yeah, recent highlights. So what I've been up to recently. So this is actually quite a bit away. I've got this photo from Pyramidal, which I never shared before. In Pyramidal, you are able to use each of the cards exactly once. So, but you can use the key card as many times as you want. So here it could be detonated. We're using the T and the D as many times as you want. And tell me if you can work out what this one is. C something A, I something S. Yep, it is chairs. And then this one's, I was super impressed. This was Chris who managed to get this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 letter words using the key card 4 times. That's what it's all about. This is what makes this game fairly unique. So this is called Harrower. So yeah. Anyway, and I've just been trying to enjoy life here. Some Stir-fried ats I did, chicken, good times. Little bagels, fish and chips. A fish and chip shop opens near me. And then there's these wasabi things that I got from Lidl. Bagel, biking, cycling around, Stratford, lovely place. Queen Elizabeth Park. And yeah, I went there. Queen Elizabeth Park, sunset. You see what I'm talking about? Beautiful colours, cut flowers, just the natural world around us. And then I also did a tiny bit of art yesterday for there's a thing going on right now called Shelfapalooza, and so yeah, that's why I'm not expecting some of the regulars to turn up. But yeah, Shelfapalooza is a thing run by Girls Game Shelf, and Loozapalooza, that's going on anyway. So this is, Nona is running a thing of 50 tasks, and so here there's like a rebus, which is, okay, here's a game name, and can you work out what it is? Here's a little comic about the mines that I drew, and here's a colouring in page. And so those are things that you do, and then you collect things, you kind of find things, you do arty things. It's a really nice idea. So well done, Nona. Now, let's move on to the questionably quick questions. Questionably quick questions. It is questionably quick questions. Let me bring up the thing. And as always, all questions are welcome. What will we ask? What will we ask? What will I ask myself? Okay, so questionably quick questions. Blue or red? I'm going to choose red. Fizzy or still? I prefer still as a default. I don't like fizzy drinks too much. I don't like excessive carbonation, but I like a little bit. I mean, look here. I like when, you know, there's a little bit of effervescent stuff, or if it's water, I do like a slight sparkle once in a time. Like if I'm going somewhere fancy and it's like, okay, would you like, you know, to pay for some still water, or would you like to pay for some sparkling water? Well, I'm going to pay for this sparkling water, because at least then it feels different to tap water. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not enough of a water connoisseur to really enjoy the difference between the water I might get in the restaurant and the tap water. Oh, hello, Andrew January. It's lovely to see you. So yeah, this is a questionably quick question. So any quick silly questions are welcome at this part. The normal questions. What time did I wake up? About 7ish. Did I have breakfast? No, I have ingested nothing. Literally, you know, I've brushed my teeth and that's been the extent of it. What was the last thing I ate? Oof. Yesterday, I had bubble tea. So, I mean, hair clips or hair bands? Hair bands. Yeah, hair bands. It's all about the hair bands. Yeah, come on. It's all about the hair bands. Like, hair bands are just so multifunctional, and then they kind of, clips can, you know, break your hair. They can do all sorts of things. It's all about the bands. And, you know, also you can make them smaller. You can make them bigger. Yeah. Spectacles or contact lenses? For me, it's spectacles. I actually cannot wear contact lenses because my eyes are too kinds of dry. Bar soap or liquid soap? Oof, well, I would like bar soap if I'm the only person using it. But when other people are using it, I do like liquid soap, because then I feel like, okay, I've got my own little portion and then I've got my own bit. So that's what I'm talking about. And Alejandro Dini, lovely to see you. who asks, this is quite a serious question, how do you pitch a game in 5 minutes? What do you focus on? Okay, well, this is meant to be questionably quick questions, so I would focus on what is unique about your game, what is fun, and yeah, basically, from a publisher's point of view, they want to know why they should buy your game. Like, why are they going to make money out of it? If it's just yet another Euro, then what's the point in them having it? If it's just yet another speed game, then what's the point in them having it? If it's a, hey, here's a speed game, but it's got this one bit that's never been seen before, or hey, this is a speed game, but it's got you know, a theme of birds and people like birds and there's not many speed games involving birds, or hey, it's a speed game and it's simpler than anything else on the market, or it's a speed game but it's more complex. You need to have your unique selling points. I mean, it's horrible, I know. Everything comes down to marketing and sellability from the publisher's point of view. It's like all dollar signs, unless like they're really. But I hope that kind of answers the questions. It's like, what's unique about your thing? Why would people play your game over any of the other thousands of games that are released this year alone? Least favorite player color. I don't think I've got any player color that I'd be like, yeah, I'm not playing that. In all seriousness, if someone else really wants to play red, I would be like, yeah, fine. Someone else wants to play purple, yeah, fine. If someone else really wants to play the Bearwood, yeah, fine. And then for the records, green, well, magenta, is up there. And then green is my next choice. And then, yellow, black, blue, white, it's all much of a muchness at that point. I don't have any preferences. And so, yeah, I think that for me, my least favorite player color would be anything that looks too similar to the board, if you know what I mean. But hopefully they haven't made that terrible decision, because at that point, that's a problem with the game. And if someone's been so sloppy that they've chosen a player color and then made the board the same color, then they shouldn't be doing that. And I'm glad that it was helpful. Feel free to ask any other questions. Yeah, what else do I have on the bank? Okay, what's my favorite localist board game shop? Okay, well, I don't think I've ever actually answered this one. So Leisure Games is definitely my localist game shop. It's about 35 minutes cycle that way. I mean, even though I love I live in London, and you'd think, oh, London, there's a lot of game shops. And sure, there are a lot of game shops. There's Ludoquist in Croydon, there's Library Pots, there's the Orc's Nest down in the centre of the city, there's Leisure Games. I mean, that's pretty much it, now I think about it. Like, if I want to cycle less than an hour and a half, that's literally all I can think of for. That's not very much. And so, yeah, my localist game shop, Leisure Games, shouts out to them. They are lovely people. Mike, everyone else involved is wonderful person. Hello, Odin. It's like lovely to see you. And they ask, what's a theme that I would like to design? Oh, this is a hard question. I mean, nothing actually comes to my head right now. Lots of these things are like, okay, if there's something that I really feel, oh my gosh, I've got to do it, then I kind of try to start it at some point. There's nothing where I'm like, oh, this is like an idea that's I don't like. I know that Gilhova has their mechanism. Like, Gilhova has this auction mechanism that has been in the past 3 games they've made, the Networks, High Rise, and Battle Merchants. And this auction mechanism, it starts off in the game, and then they build a game, and then they're like, at some points, yeah, this game is better off without this auction mechanism, I'm going to drop this. And yet they're going to now start a 4th game with this auction mechanism that will eventually be removed. I don't really have anything big like that. I've got some styles of games that I would really like to do. I've got some ideas of themes that, yeah. Oh, hi, Neko-chan. We're basically questionably quick questions for the next 5 or 10 minutes, and so any questions, no matter how silly. And so Odin's just asked me what theme I'd like to design, and then later on I'm going to be talking about. Oh, it's Caroline. Hello, lovely to see you. And you know what? Sebastian, who is Caroline's partner, is yeah, worked on Flip and Spell with me. Where I say Sebastian worked on Flip and Spell, Sebastian basically suggested an idea for Flip and Spell and suggested the area control bit that made it really work. So I had a game with Flip and Spell. Oh, oh, oh no, I can't find it right now. Never mind. It's kind of you build words. It's a flip and write word game, and then the person with the most letters on each row gets an extra victory point, and the person with the most who finished off a word gets a victory point. Anyway, Sebastian Bleasdale made this amazing going path. Back to the Odin's question, I don't think that there is one that I can think of right now. If I had to pick a game that, okay, I really have to design right now, or that someone could say, you have made an amazing game about this, what would it be? And it can't be about racial prejudice and stuff, because that's already kind of been done in Seas of Power. I'm going to say something about capitalism, a somewhat anti-capitalistic game. Yeah, that would be a theme that I would think of. Okay, so Neko-chan asks, why do I have so many boxes in my room? Wow, no one's ever asked this before. I'm surprised. So, yeah, you're just seeing the top of my cupboards. I've got a lot of boxes because boxes are a good way to store things in. So, some of those boxes are packing materials, because I ship things to people. There's boxes. Yeah, that's it. Basically, boxes, packing materials. I see one of them's got hats, and one of them's got colours and my old prototypes, because I've got a lot of old prototypes that I maybe don't want to chuck away. So I put them all in a box, and then I put the box on top of my cupboard, and it's like, okay, it's not taking at least any room on my floor, but yeah. Have I ever bought a game mainly attracted by the artwork? Not for very much money, let's put it that way. I did buy Le Petit Poussé, which is basically, I think, Tom Thumb, and then this was a game that I think it was literally on sale for about £2 or £3. Frankly, I mean, the thing is, if I buy a game, if I'm buying it just because the art is amazing, then what am I buying? I'm just buying a bunch of postcards. I'm buying a game, then I want it to be fun to play, and so I might be attracted to it from the artwork. I might be like, okay, the artwork is what gets me interested, but for me, it has to be a fun experience, and the artwork is just a small part of that, for me personally at least. But yeah, the artwork is great for marketing the game, but I don't think the artwork is a good reason to buy the game. Yeah, I feel you, Odin. Shipping departments in my shed. Yeah, I've got and I've got lots of boxes over that way. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, about 300, just under 400 envelopes on that size, and 4 big boxes. Just to show you, this is my favorite style of envelope. If anyone was wondering, this is, yeah, envelope. I like it. They are apparently recyclable, and they are weatherproof, and they've got a low coefficient of friction. So that low coefficient of friction, you wouldn't think that that makes any difference, but it does if it has to be a large letter and it has to slide through a thing. Now, it doesn't make any difference for my larger games. So for this one, this isn't a large letter no matter what I do, but for my old Wibble++, this was right on the cusp of being a large envelope versus a small parcel. So literally 2 more millimeters, and this would have been a small parcel, or an envelope with a higher coefficient of friction. They slide it through, they cannot get it through, and then they charge you for being a small parcel. So yay for low coefficients of friction. Trav, yeah, boxes have been very useful to reuse. Oh, is that envelopes have been very useful to reuse to carry around my prototypes in. That's fun to hear. Are there any themes you avoid because it's just not something you click with, other than outright horrible things, obviously? Nah, if I'm being honest, like sometimes I just make a game and then it's like, okay, this is a theme that the theme doesn't necessarily have to be like, wow, this is the most amazing theme ever. I made a game, I mean, it never got published. I never actually wrote down the rules or made a pitch video or anything for it, to be fair. So I didn't do very much work to get it published. But I made this game called Dice Farmers, where you've got the dice. It was originally something that I was thinking of, okay, I had a publisher in mind. But then, so the dice would turn up. There was blue, red, and green for beetroot, tomatoes, and cucumber. I want to say I had. I think there was. Oh yeah, there was also onions. Yeah. Oh no, it wasn't onions. It was potatoes, and the potatoes kept propagating. Yeah, so the potatoes were unique because when the potatoes die, they turn into double the potatoes. And so, but you have to have enough space on your farm, or these potatoes will take over. Anyway, so I don't know. Like, I feel like any theme can be interesting. Like, I wouldn't necessarily want to make a game that's hardcore about automobiles. I don't know much about automobiles. And yeah, exactly. Wait, yeah, tomatoes, potatoes, cucumbers. And so, like, yeah, I feel like I'd want to do a little bit of research if it was a real world thing. I would want to at least check in, okay, what is the average lifespan of these vegetables, and also what do I feel as a consumer? Because my real world knowledge is possibly going to be closer to the knowledge of the average person rather than my knowledge once I've started doing lots of research. It's like that, the Kraken. The Kraken is not part of Greek mythology, but it kind of, people might feel it is. And then if you look at Magic the Gathering, then there's the 100-handed one, which no one really knows of. But then there's some things that appeal to, let's say, what people believe is the theme, even if it isn't actually true. And there's some things that appeal to people who are really super invested in the theme. And so, yeah, I can't think there would be anything that I would avoid. Like, I think I would avoid a theme for moral reasons. I would try to have, if possible, less killing. And I know there's a lot of war games, and I know there's, honestly, look, death and it's an easy way to kind of have a, what's the word I'm looking for? A win condition in your game. Okay, when you've gotten down to 0 life, that's it. But if you try hard, like, I think, and then there's also the notion of, is capitalism, like, the most money, is that a lazy crutch? And should we be encouraging that? I mean, I would like to think carefully about everything that I do, but then there's a difference between a theme that it's also how much am I encouraging people to do this with. But I don't think there's any theme that I would avoid point blank. Oh, there you go. Yeah, you could absolutely do that. Neko-chan asks, what is my favorite game genre? Oh, I think that my favorite game genre might be very much dictated by who I get to play games with. So right now, the people that I see on a regular basis, I can count on the palm of Chris McCall, who I actually play games with. I've got like weekly dates with them. I see Layla quite often. Layla actually plays more complex games. And then I live with 3 other people. And so that's 6 people that I regularly see, especially right now. And even when it wasn't lockdown, it was like, okay, who am I actually going to see? Who am I going to be able to get to my house? Who am I going to be able to play games with? Who will I have the opportunity to play games with? And so let's say my favorite game, the game that I want to play right now, if I got to sit down, it might be Manhattan Project. I don't know. I'm not saying it is. It's definitely up there. I just got it. I would really like to play it. And maybe even more, I might like to play Taj Mahal by Reiner Knizia, the auction game. But the question then becomes, do I have friends who are happy with that level of complexity and then saying, okay, we're going to play this one week and then we're going to play another auction game the next week? And so I think my favorite genre of a game, you know, I feel like I'm giving a cop-out answer here, but it is so dictated by the people. And if I went to the cabin in the woods, if I went to, I'm trying to remember what I said I would take to 5 games for Doomsday. Like right now, if I were to go in 5 games for Doomsday, yeah, I would take the L deck for sure because there's so much available there. If I could only take one small box, one deck of cards, it would be the L deck. There's no doubt in my mind. But then I would, yeah, the actual standalone games that I would take, I would like to play something like Codex. I like these kinds of games where you can explore something where someone sets up a massive network of things and then you're exploring what went on in the designer's head. I like exploring these systems. I like abstract strategy games. My favorite game of all time is probably Go, where it's a 2-player abstract game, and abstract games are probably up there. But the reason that I love Go is because it has a handicap method. There's no good way to handicap Pilos, for example. I mean, Corridor, okay, you could handicap that. That's very nice as well, because give one person fewer barriers. But Pilos, you're taking turns to put balls down, and then if you've got a little square of 4, or if you've got a line of 4 or 3, then yeah. And yeah, Go is absolutely the best game, not just because I can learn it. I'm not very good. I will never be a professional Go player. I would never be able to have a fair contest with a professional Go player, even if they give me 9 stones handicap. But with a good portion of the people out there, I can have an exciting game. Either I give them a couple of stones or they give me a couple of stones to start off with, and then we have a good game. And sure, maybe that means that potentially someone is starting off on the back foot and it changes dynamics. But for me, having a big, complex space, and people have talked about, oh, who was it? On a podcast recently, they were talking about complex games and saying, oh yeah, it's not actually that complex. Look, you've got 40 options, but you don't need to remember all of them. But to me, if you don't remember all of them, then you're not really engaging at the strategic level. I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love to play Food Chain Magnets. I would love to fully explore that and play it repeatedly with a group of like-minded people. That would be a lovely way to spend a week. I mean, yeah, theoretically, if a friend were to invite me and say, hey, Bez, do you want to have a holiday for 3 days? We'll do nothing but play Food Chain Magnets. We'll play it a couple of times a day. And then by the end, we'll really have explored what's possible in here. I mean, and then by the end, like, we would be, okay, we understand the rules and we're now exploring the possibilities, because it's once you have internalized the rules and now you're exploring the possibility space. Okay, you understand all these are the cards, but how can they connect? Because maybe there's 200 cards that you're playing with in this set, but then, whoa, all the different combinations is just like every card that you add adds exponentially more possibilities. So I guess my favorite game genre, this isn't like really a genre, but if I could, yeah, it's a game where it does have a massive number of it's a game where I've played it enough, I can internalize all the possibilities, and now I'm at the stage of thinking through the strategic ramifications of my actions. And sure, do you own the game? I mean, genuinely, we could potentially make this happen. I mean, we'd both have to like take some time off work and like say, okay, this is what's going on. But yeah, I'm definitely down for that. But like, yeah, online play, I'm not generally down for that. And if I had to pick only one style of game that I could play for the entire rest of my life, like if I genre, I mean, how do you define them? Would it be war game, Euro game, American style themed game, abstract, perfect information, and maybe then party game? I think party game would actually be my preferred choice, just because party game, it's something where if you're in a pub, you can get other people involved. It's something that you can bust out, and that's something that, well, that's a problem that's, fairly easily solved. I mean, but yeah, online play just generally doesn't do it for me. Okay, so unless anyone else has anything, that is the end of my questionably quick questions. And so thank you everyone for all the lovely questions. As I go through, feel free to continue to ask questions and comment and follow. And I should have, all your questions were welcome, even the silliest ones. So if anyone has anything in the next couple of minutes, I will join in. Otherwise, I'm going to talk about checking in with myself and the L contest, the stream, and how I am generally. So this is what's going to happen now. So let me move on. So the L deck contest, and actually, I think that the next couple of days, if I double check, the next couple of days are people. We've got Chris Buckey on tomorrow, and then Andrew January. Hi, Andrew, coming in on Monday. And so it's going to be basically 3 days of chatting about the L deck design contest. So what is the L deck design contest? What is the L deck? The L deck is this. And, I don't have the... and one day a version might look more like this. And one day a version might look more like the couple deck, which I will flash up if at least one person asks. So the L deck has 2 letters on each card and one of 6 different suits, and this tells you the frequency of the lower letter. So there are 4 Bs and there's always 6 of the top letters, which is why here I've added numbers to both sides, but that's going to be made a little bit more readable. This is like a very early bit of art. So there's 5 Ds and there's 6 Ns, for example. Anyway, so the point of the L deck is that the point of the L deck is that there's many different games available for it. What's that? Oh, wow. Oh, thank you. So with the original L deck, I made Wibble, which was what I called the fastest word game in the West, but then I changed that to words, freedom, and speed. Or maybe it's words, speed, and freedom, because freedom should be last. So just to explain very quickly, for those who don't know, Wibble gets 2 cards and shouts a word that contains one of these and one of these letters. For example, I could shout tub, or I could shout sit, or guessing, because you can use any additional letters that you might like. And so, yeah, for this game, you can just jump in and shout a word. And let's say I had said bottles. I would grab this card, and now you could shout, and I'm going to wait for someone. You can't repeat words, so you can't say bottles again, but let's see if someone can say a word that could work here. And And then the thing is that you only have to use one letter from here and one letter from here, but I have to use an additional letter from every card I got. So, yeah, for example, you could say shot, S-H-O-T, or you could say so, S-O or S-O-W, whereas I would have had to say shot because I need to use one letter from every card that I've already collected. Oh, hose. Yeah, hose would have been a good example. So if we were playing chats, yeah, sob would have worked as well. And yeah, you've got the idea. And every time you get a card, then it becomes harder and harder. And I invented that game back in January 2015. And within like a few months, it was like really good. People were enjoying it. And it was like, yeah, this is a really good game. I could sell this game. But then I noticed that there were more games that could be played with the same deck. And then I went to UK Games Expo 2015, and Andrew Dennison, well, I had Fable at the time, which was a storytelling game, and then Andrew Dennison made Alphabetical, which was a game about getting your cards in alphabetical order, thinking about one letter from each card. And then I was like, wow, okay, someone's come up with a game that I would never have come up with. This is the way it needs to be. This is worth making into a game system. So I've got Wibble, which is a word game, Grabble, which is a grabby, fast grabby dexterity game, Phrasal, which is a party game, Fable is a storytelling activity, Alphabetical is like, yeah, kind of tactical drafting game. Then I decided every year on 1st of August, there was going to be a new headline game. So number 6 was Couple, which is a 2-player cooperative word game, which is very slow and in-depth. Number 7 was a 1-player word game, which was called Mickle, and I'm very proud of that. Number 8 was by Tom Cauldron. And so that brings me to the L-Deck design contest. So once I had published it, people came up with their own ideas. Of course they did. People were like saying, hey, Bez, have you thought of a game involving geography? And that was from Lewis Shaw, actually. Lewis Shaw suggested to me, hey, what's about a game that's based on geography? And then I made a game that the only words that you're allowed to use are the words of places. You're allowed to use the words of places of, I think I said basically anything bigger than, so it's like cities and countries and continents, basically anything bigger than a street. Although, yeah, rivers, I think I was allowing. And so in a normal word game, you're not allowed to say Thames. Thames, I mean, that's a proper noun. You can't have that unless it's a game about geography. And so this kind of inspired me, and just having someone shout ideas, that was like really nice. And so I said, okay, there's so many people wanting to submit ideas. Let's have an L-Deck design contest. And so the L-Deck design contest, since the first one closed on 1st of August 2018, the second one closed on, well, technically 31st of July, 31st of July, just before 1st of August. And let's say at the very start of 1st of August, 2018 was the end of the first one, and then Tom Cauldron won that one, and Categorical is a brilliant game. It became the 8th main game, which is Categorical, which is what these are based on, because Categorical is an energetic game, and it's so much fun, because I love the fact that you know, you've got the toing and the throwing, and it's like, okay, let me actually do this. So Categorical, the way it works, flip that over, and then you're like, okay, we're thinking of places. Let's say we were thinking of places, and then I would say, okay, Thames. And then I flip it closer to me. I need to cover this one, and then clap my hands. And I say Bahrain. Okay. Hamburg. And now finally I win a point. But if the other person had gotten it, then it would have come closer to them. And you can see how it becomes like a little bit of a tug of war, where you are pulling back and throwing and towing, if that makes sense. And so that is Categorical. And yeah, the second L-Deck design competition was won by Paul Mansfield, who is a friend, yes, but that's when we realized that we needed to add a lot of anonymization. So I literally rewrote, I want to say the top 8-ish games, um, to say, okay, these are the top games, these are a potential top 5. Basically was the things that I thought might be in the top 5, and I was like, okay, I'm going to rewrite these, I'm going to send them to judges, I'm going to share them with David Brain, who's been working so hard, and Andrew Dennison, and like Tom Cauldron, and like other people, so that I can get their inputs. It's not so I am not influenced. So they didn't know that it was Paul Mansfield who had made this game, and Tom and Dave both agreed that Unfinishable, which was by Paul Mansfield, which is a 2-player word game of trying to not finish words, which is a really interesting twist. It is admittedly a slight twist on Super Ghost, but by playing with the L deck, it does make it substantially different. Anyway, so each year I have changed the way that it works a little bit. But the whole origin of this is that I want to get ideas and design ideas from other people. It's not really about, hey, please give me a fully developed game. It doesn't need to be fully developed. And maybe there will be a time when, I don't know, 10 years into the future, when there's so many games that I can't devote so much time to continue developing them as much as I'd like. But frankly, if there's a game where I'm like, okay, well, these things could be tweaked, if people start making games for my deck, I want to encourage them. I want to help them along the way. And if people, it's not just within the competition. If someone comes to me and says, hey, this is my game, are you up for taking a look at it? I would be happy to generally, depending on the time, have a quick look at it, especially if it's, hey, we're playing games at the pub. Are you happy to play this with us, Bez? Absolutely, 100%. And so, yeah, there have been games as parts of this competition that I have helped in. But still, the idea came from those other people. And that's really what it's been all about. Categorical, it changed quite a bit. Some of these games, they might need a bit of simplification. And it is ultimately about, let's get people thinking about making games for this. Let's get people working on games. And then if I want to have some judges, and I do want to make it a fair contest, to say, hey, let's reward people in some ways, to say thank you very much. And so that's why, when I started, it was like, okay, what you're getting is a whole bunch of feedback. And that was enough to get a lot of people involved. I think the first year I had 19 entries, something like that, that were full designs. And then the second year I had quite a bit less. I had maybe 9 entries because, first year everyone's, this brand new thing. And so I test these games with focus groups. So what happens this year? So this year, this is where I wanted to talk about the L deck design contest. This is what it's all come down to, the year 2020, where things are more difficult. I hope you appreciate this. Let me actually compare. Okay, this is a big question. Let me go back to 2018. I had all these games. I played literally all the games. I played there were 19 games that were properly submitted. I played all of them. And then out of all of them, there were some that I was like, yeah, that's not a good game. Some of them were like, okay, that's something really interesting there. And then played them a few times. And then once I've played them with so I played them with other designers. I played them then once it had passed that level, then I went off and I played them at conventions. And for me, playing at conventions is the ultimate focus testing, because playing these things at pubs with friends who don't really play games, with the intended target audience, that's the thing. Yes. And so right now, how do I get to focus group? Normally, I would make the effort of literally going to the pub and inviting people, saying, hey, are you up for testing a game? I will buy you a drink. And I would do something like that. I have enough, let's say, gregariousness, enough. I'm, I would say I'm more of an extrovert than an introvert. I've got to be honest. Like before I started this stream, I was feeling a bit low and like, oh man, I'm feeling a bit lonely. And yeah, it's like kind of, even though I'm not seeing you all, I feel like, you're there and acknowledged, and it's really nice. And but generally, my favorite time is when I am going around and I see people, when I'm, even if I'm 2 meters away from everyone, being able to see everyone going round, and or having Layla over to play games, or going into a pub. Those are the moments that I cherish. And so this year is going to be more difficult. Now, what I am hoping is that next year I will go back to being able to say, hey, this is a game intended for non-gamers. Let's play it with people in a pub. Let's buy them a drink. Let's play with strangers, literally. And hey, these games are for gamers. Okay, let me play these at conventions. And when I go to a convention, when I go to, there's quite a few conventions later on in the year. And at that point, it's like, okay, let's show these games to people in board games clubs, because I go to at least one board game group every week. And well, now I don't, because I don't go anywhere. But we used to go to Tabletop Tuesdays, and at that point it'd be like, hey, some of these people play games more, some of these people play games less. I'm going to play these things with them. Now, given the way the world is right now, I do want to make sure that all these games are played as much as possible, and that is going to be a hard task. But that is going to come down mainly to people that I am bubbling with, because I know that currently the UK law is that you can go out and be in groups of up to 6 in a place, but that seems a bit excessive to me, frankly. Going in a group of 6 one day and in another group of 6 the next day, I don't know how comfortable I feel right now doing that, especially if I'm not wearing a mask. But yeah, I feel like, so I am going to go and see my parents this weekend, and that's certainly going to give me the opportunity to test out a lot of these games with people who struggle to comprehend rules. Now, I'm not going to trust my mum or dad necessarily when they say this is a good game, because yeah, sure, they might be biased, but like it will at least give me the perspective of which ones of these games is better for an absolute non-gamer. Similarly, when I'm playing with Chris and McCall, I don't throw in, I'm not like, okay, now we need to play all these games, but it's, when we're playing games, we will normally play, I don't know, 3 different games. They're normally short things, and we'll play them for maybe, if it's super short, we might play it 2 or 3 times each. And so, this isn't a good testing situation. Ideally, I would be testing this game with strangers, with other designers. But what I can do is then, so I'm testing it a bit more. By the end of this month, all the rules are going to be set in stone. I'm going to rewrite all the rules for that anonymization. Then I'm going to send out the rules. The judges I've got, David Brain's super excited to do it. Jason might be able to help with the lower player counts. Everyone's going to struggle with anything more than 3 players, frankly. Andrew Dennison's going to be able to try a couple of games. Tom Cauldron's definitely up for it, at least all the 2-player stuff. Again, this is like a problem. Like, we're going to struggle playing the higher player counts. And yeah, Paul might. So I've definitely got at least 4 other people who are going to be helping to test all these things after I have anonymized them. And all those other judges I have told to not watch any of my testable streams, which is what I call it when I was showing the names of the designers. Now, I can say, oh yes, Andrew January was a person who submitted a game called No Evil, and we will be talking about that on Monday. And Chris Bockey submitted Deductible because I've determined that these games, whilst there was definitely merit to them, they were not good enough to be considered for the top 5, which is basically all I'm wondering at this point. And so when I'm considering what could be in the top 5, I ended up with a list of 9 games, which is quite a few. And I would have cut it down to more if I were able, but again, I've not tested it enough. I've only tested it with a very small number of people, so that's why I need to get more people, so that it's not all put through my lens. It needs to be for other people's lenses. And yes, thank you and hi Trav, it's lovely. I don't know if I said hello to you before, but it was lovely seeing you in the thing before I started. Getting out and about is a challenge right now for sure, and trying to explain games or just speak through a mask isn't great. I am happy to explain games through a mask. Right now, I personally do not feel comfortable going and playing games with strangers. But having said that, it is legal, and even though I don't think I will take full advantage of what is legal, I'm certainly not going to start going to the restaurants or cafes, much as, it would. I do like a buffet, but anyway, the point is that I'm not going to go to the pub. That just feels crazy to me, having a mask off. And yeah, if you have a mask on in a pub, you're basically saying, yeah, I'm not spending any money, and they don't want you there, which is fair enough. I am not going to go to a pub. But I think that if I had people in the garden, that might be reasonable. And once I come back from being with my parents, because I'm going to be there about a week, we've decided, we'll see what happens. If I cannot do my streams, then I'll come back on Wednesday. And because I think Monday and Tuesday, it's not the more those people are going to understand. And basically I'll still be able to do it from my phone, worst case scenario. But yeah, no. I assume you're being sarcastic. Anyway, so yeah, after I come back, I'll probably sort of loosen up a tiny bit. And I might start having other folk. Anyway, I will work out what I can do. Yes, I would love to focus test him. I've got the anonymity, and what I've said in the past is that I will decide by the end of the year. And I know that there's 2 things that I wanted to say about this contest. Firstly, some people have expressed concern that it is so long. And I guess for those people, especially now, and even normally, I want to play this as much as possible at every player count. If you've got a 2 to 4 player game, I don't want to just play it at 4 players, because maybe it's actually not very good at 2. And if it is actually a 3 or 4 player game, well, fair enough. But then if there's a game that's 99% as good as your 3 to 4 player game, but is a 2 to 6 player game, hypothetically speaking, I don't think there are any. No, I think the maximum that any game goes up to that was submitted this year was 4 players, except for one game, which is 4 to 10. And that 4 to 10 players, I don't see how I'm going to be able to properly test that, because yeah, I can have a chat with. I'm having Jonathan Philip Chambers on, who says that the only thing that matters is yourself, and I completely disagree with that. I think that you have to put it through the lens of as many other people as possible. Anyway, so yeah, that is why there's a okay, in October we're going to cut it down and try and say, okay, these are the ones that we actually like, try to play everything and have some initial feedback. Then maybe each month we'll kind of knock out a couple of entries until like the final two should be things that if you've actually managed to win, or if you were in the running for the second or even third place, I would hope that we've played all the player counts multiple times with different groups to check that it works, to check that it's not just because I am playing. You have to test these things properly. And ultimately, going through that process, we can make changes to the game. It's not about, and yes, this process does it is again it yeah, it does mean that if you spent a lot of time developing the game, then that time is arguably wasted. But I guess not entirely, because at least if you're coming from a place of I've not played this game at all, then yeah, sure, I might make some big changes, but those changes are just likely to get it into the ballpark of where it needs to be. Whereas even if you've done playtested it like 20 times via Tabletop Simulator or whatever, then I'm likely to be able to notice things that then might get it to that slight bit of simplification, extra that's extra bits of polish. And so it's very much, I want it to be a collaborative thing. Does that make sense? Oh, what does the winner get? Oh, let me actually pull up the thing. That's a good question. So if I go to LDEC submission form, so if I do questions, so the submission form, yeah, everyone gets some feedback. Everything will be deeply considered. I'll playtest as many as can. Everyone in the top 5 will get some consultation time and a package of games. So, yeah, consultation time, I mean that, like, yeah, and obviously everyone, I'm happy to spend time talking about your L games, but if you want me to specifically talk about, okay, your other games, and hey, here's how you can do a good pitch, or I will look at your thing, because yeah, frankly, I have been paid by companies as a consultant, so I have been in a position to say, yes, we are publishing this game, yes, we're not publishing this game, where I've been working on behalf of a company. So yeah, that you get like some number of hours. I would, if it's really working out, and like it's not an exact number, but I think about three hours is the minimum. That I would be like, yep, I'm happy to do this, and as long as we can work out a mutually agreeable time, which shouldn't be too difficult. A package of games, basically just a whole bunch of games that I've made, anything that you want. The top person gets £100 cash, and also gets to demo their game during UK Games Expo 2021 and Essen 2021. So yeah, if you are able to attend, assuming those conventions happen, I will have a stand at UK Games Expo. My stand's normally about 20 meters squared. Well, technically it was 16, I think, last year. Maybe 18, I don't know. It was 16 or 18. So it was like a good space, and I could have like one table, which is as long as you want. This table is just for you to demo. And yeah, same during Essen, and the intention is that the top game will become the 10th core game and a standard contract, which my standard contract is basically 10% royalties, would be offered for a special edition of the deck. So if, yeah, basically there would be an edition that says, hey, this is a new thing, I'm going to publish it, you will get 10% of what comes into Kickstarter plus 10% of my sales price of things. That is the things. Yeah. What's the furthest that you've travelled for a convention? Is it Essen? Huh. Possibly? Yeah, I don't think I've ever gone further than that. I've not been to any of the American things, and I don't think there's... Yeah, I've not been to that many conventions outside of the UK. Like, I've probably been to about, I don't know, 20 something within the UK. And outside of the UK, it's literally only Spiel in Essen or Festival International de Jeux at Cannes. I slightly prefer Cannes as a visitor, although I'm not going to do anything there. And also, it's his Essen, it's much more international, so speaking English is going to get you very far, whereas in Cannes, you need to be able to speak some French in order to have a good time, I would say. But Cannes, great, such diversity, such a light atmosphere. It's, yeah, so many people. It's such a nice thing. Lovely to see you, Andrew, and hope you have a good day. Okay, so that's basically the L contest. That is how it is, and that's next year. I'm sure there will be tweaks that I make. I'm thinking like there might be some... Yeah, I'm not going to announce anything more for the L contest. So the stream. So I have been streaming. What number is this? If does someone... Oh, there we go. 134. Oh, Netco-chan says, is it open only to UK residents? No, it's not. And where are you based? And also, how did you find out about this stream? It's lovely to see you. You can send... So I would say don't bother sending me anything right now. But it's currently being done via the Google form. So East Coast USA. Yeah. Cool. So it might be a bit hard for you to get to UK or Germany, but if you were to, you know what? If you win, genuinely, I would try to make it work for you. I don't have this actually written in the thing, but look, I want to support people who put efforts into the thing. And if you win, like, when I go to UK Games Expo, I tend to buy like 2 rooms, or I think last year I bought 3 rooms. Was it 2 or 3? Anyway, so I buy a certain number of beds where it's like, okay, we've got rooms just for us and just for myself, people who are volunteering at my stand, and yeah, that's basically it. So potentially, if you wanted to show off your game, then I would be like, yeah, here, have your table, and here, have, like, I'll work to kind of make sure that you're fed and stuff. And yeah, same with Essen. That Essen prices can be pretty expensive, but at least for next year, I would be like, yeah, you know what? If it makes a difference to you, if you are thinking of traveling the whole way, but you don't want to have to deal with the whole accommodation, I would, sort out the accommodation and the travel into the Essen Spiel for you. That's something that I could do, because, yeah, we could make it work. Anyway, so the best way to find out about it is to go on Facebook and join the ELL deck. And let me see if I can... hopefully this link that I'm about to paste in, let me know if this works. And it should take you to, like, here. I wish I could get those chat windows to not be... Oh. So, yeah, that yeah, I kind of talk about that. I will be sharing information there. I'll be sharing information on my mailing list, and I would suggest that you go to Board Game Geek, look for Wibble Plus Plus, where there is a very bad quality free print and play where you can get an idea of it, and go to the rules sheets for rules. Do Google Sheets, and hopefully this will also work. Let me know if these links work, please. And so what the second one will do is take you to the rule sheets, and the top 9 games here, the top 9 games are the game with 2 lines underneath them are the headliners. So Wibble is a really good one to start off with, Mickle if you're on your own, and Fable if you like storytelling. Yeah. So now I hope that explains all the LDIC design contest. Okay, so now getting back to streaming. This is my 134th stream. That is quite a few. I have streamed for definitely over 4 months. I think that makes it every day. I've managed to get up and be somewhere where I am streaming at. Thanks for letting me know, Neko-chan. Appreciated. So yeah, 4 months I've been doing this, and this has been amazing. Honestly, I used to ask the questions. I used to ask the questions, will I keep doing this? How long will I do this? And right now, I'm feeling like, you know what? I want to keep doing this forever. Even after lockdown, I'm not saying that I would always be talking quite so long. And I think that, especially after lockdown, it might be like, okay, on a Friday, when I normally go out to playtest, it might be just a quick 15 minutes, literally 15 minutes to say, hey, I'm Bez, let's have a quick song, and let's share some brilliant things, let's share some recent highlights, let's share some what we're looking forward to, and then I will say goodbye, and that will be literally it on the Friday, just as a quick 10 a.m. check-in to keep it going at the same time. And like, I feel like, you know, I could see this genuinely just because I really enjoy engaging with people in different ways, and sometimes I can't tell. And the nice thing about this also is that it gives me a focal point. It gives me a routine to the day. Even, I'm going to be honest, look, today maybe wasn't the best day. Like, I was feeling like, okay, I'm in a really low mood, and then it perks me up. Like, I could have gotten out for a walk, but I didn't. I didn't have the energy. And now, like, speaking to everyone, like, it fills me with energy. Even, like, just seeing, like, everyone's faces there, and, like, kind of popping into Twitch, and, like, seeing, like, there's such amazing people, like Trav, like, you know, Odin, and, like, oh, Neko-chan, like, kind of just seeing, like, you were a stranger, and now I feel like we've had a bit of an interaction. Now, I'm not going to say we're really an acquaintance, like, I have no idea what you look like or what your beliefs are or anything like that. And to be fair, I don't know much about Trav either, other than they know Jay for 3-minute board games, and, like, you know, obviously Odin, like, well, we kind of go back. I mean, yeah, Odin backed, like, the Categorical and was really supportive. Yeah, slightly, like, I'm just choosing which shading I like a little bit more. But yeah, anyways, I slightly I think I'm going to go with the less dotty one. The less dotty one, the more I look at it. Sorry, this one's the less dotty one. Let me know. Anyway, so Odin, like, yeah, inspired a game called Flowers Over Towers, which was then submitted to Odin and Joey's submissions process for Inkwell Games to make a roll and write game, which I made, and then Odin published. And now I've got a bunch of books, and I usually have my own personal copy here. I don't know where it is, but yeah, it's and then yeah, so we kind of we have a professional working relationship, and it's just nice to know that people are around in some way. And it's really, I guess, validating in an egocentric way to say, yeah, I this this is a thing I'm doing, and it's worth doing it because there's people that are paying attention. And so it makes me feel like, yeah, it's worth it. And don't get me wrong, sometimes indeed, especially in these days and times, it's important to take pride and joy in the world around us. Like yesterday, I was cycling to Stratford, which is about 6 miles away, and appreciating the sun, appreciating the fact that, yeah, I didn't have to wear a jacket, although I had it in my bag just in case it came out in a moment, just in case the clouds came out or it started spittling down. I appreciating, wow, these are beautiful flowers and the grass and just like the buildings and everything. And reminding us of, human achievements, it's pretty amazing. Like the fact that houses exist, the fact that bricks, like the sun, and reminding ourselves of these brilliant things around us. And I think, to me, this streaming has been a regular affirmation. And so thank you, everyone. I just, yeah. So I've got some quick questions from the YouTube that I'm going to paste into a banner. Oh, it didn't quite finish. So I've been streaming over for 4 months. Let's chat about what's working. So I think that the topics, when I've got asked people to be more specific in their topic, not just about what's a good review or let's talk about reviewing or how do you review, but what are the obligations of a reviewer? I want to talk about things that people maybe don't always talk about. I want to have conversations with people where we're both working out what we think. Like I'm having a conversation next week with Lolvi where we talk about safety mechanisms in board games. Now, safety mechanisms in board games, no one knows anything about that. It's a thing that's been done a lot in LARP. It's a thing that Gilhova has done a little bit about, but we're just going to talk about it and try to come to some conclusions because it's trying to open up the conversation. And so, yeah, I'm really enjoying that, and I appreciate that people have been enjoying that as well. I am actually going to open up my Twitch in backend and show you my recent stats in case, I don't know, if at least one person wants. Actually, I'm just going to show it. Insights, channel analytics. So if you look at the stream, 14th of August to 11th of August. Let's actually go back. Let's change it to the start date to be all the way back. When did I even start? When it was August, September, July. It was May, I think, I really started. Let's update. So let's do it from when I started. So you can see that May, I started off with like 0.1 average viewers, and then it was hovering around that, and then eventually I managed to get 3 average viewers like over a month, and that was like, wow, I've got 5, that's amazing. And now it's like, yeah, 11, and that was like, oh my god, 11, that's amazing. And like it is still amazing like that so many people tune in. And now in the past week we've had like, and I think that was when Jay came in. That was what was Wednesday? What were we? Oh yeah, that was with Dave of Sinister Fish, and that was with Antoinette Mason, which was my favorite conversation by far that I've had in recent times. And even Monday was really popular about teaching games. And it's like, yeah, I'm talking to some larger names, and I'm going to have yeah, I guess that the people watching are board gaming people. I mean, I assume that's why you're here. Like, I'm excited to have Martin Wallace on next month, which is going to be quite cool. Like, I suggested because I've got some private information of something I'm not even going to allude to, that I said, hey, should we talk about that? And then Martin was like, you know what, there's not much of a conversation here. It's not going to be that exciting, but we could talk about that or that. Anyway, I should actually put that in the date. That's an email that they sent me back just this morning. They live in Australia, so it's a good time, and I'm really looking forward to chatting to them. I'm really looking forward to chatting to Shem Phillips and like other people. And if people have any questions for them, then great. And I'm hoping that as time goes on, I'll be able to ask people to chat about more and more specific stuff. Sometimes I get the benefit of learning. Why do I do it? Because I like learning, because people teach me about marketing. And sometimes I get, it's almost like I get free information. I really enjoy it, and I get emotional satisfaction from chatting to these people that are like amazing people. And like, everyone's amazing. And like, I'm talking to Emma Zaya, like when is it? It's not next week, is it? Is it already next week? Meeting, it's 2 weeks away. It's Wednesday in a week's time. I'm so excited for that because Emma's just so much fun. Like, that's not going to be informative. That's just going to be pure entertainment. And then having Alan Paul, who's a friend, like, I could chat to Alan Paul anytime, let's be honest. But would we? No, we probably would not. Same as Lolve. I mean, we could have a conversation. We could just sit down and chat, but this is forcing me to sit down with my friends. And it's also making friends with people like Dina. And apparently Shem is a really good guy. I hope that they don't mind that I've still not played any of their games. I did have started doing lots of research, and what I've noticed is that as I've read the rules for all of their games, well, I've basically watched quick overviews to be like, okay, I know what's going on here, to do a little bit of research, because it's like all the worker placement that they use, it's not worker placement as we know it. I mean, as far as I've seen, Shem Phillips hasn't done a bog standard worker placements game. I mean, when it's worker placements on your own area, or worker placements where you put down something and then you pull it, when there's no blocking, is it worker placements anymore? Like, it's worker placements in the thematic sense, but it's not worker placements as defined by Isaac Shalev, building blocks. And oh my gosh, I'm getting to talk to Ryan Estrada, who again is frankly a friend. And but where is it? Yeah, in 2 weeks' time, comparing comics to board games with Ryan Estrada. I'm really excited for that. Where Ryan has made this amazing comic called... I'm just like so excited, like all these amazing people. And so I think that's what I want to do more and more of. I'm very happy to do these solo things. I would be very happy as long as people come along and are interested to listen to me. And I hope that this conversation is interesting. So yeah, and how could I improve? I want you to tell me, how could I improve? How should I continue? Like, what should I change? And that's the big questions. And I would like you to tell me, like, why are you enjoying it? What are you enjoying the best? If you've watched multiple of these, did you have a favorite episode? Why was it your favorite? I would really like to know, because genuinely this is, what is it? That Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours with feedback. Let me look. 10,000 hours feedback. Mastery. Let's see what Google comes up with. This is live. Okay, so according to Google, it's popularized by Malcolm Gladwell in the bestseller Outliers: Historic Success. But it's not just 10,000 hours, it's 10,000 hours with feedback. That's the thing. So you need to do your, and so you've got feedback from yourself, you've got introspection, you've got feedback from maybe your peers who can look at it and say, hey, this is what you should do. And you've got feedback from the people who are engaging with it. And so I would genuinely love you to tell me, even if this is your first stream, like Neko-chan, like tell me, what have you enjoyed? What have you not enjoyed? How could I do a better job? And I am not going to start using other software. I don't want to start making it an ordeal where I need to spend like an hour setting things up. But yeah, I am very happy to make small changes. So let me see the other questions. Sorry. Okay, so just repasting. Oh, thank you for the input. It was fascinating learning about your game design and development process. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. I mean, this is obviously just for the contest. It's not for game overall, but I'm really glad that it was interesting. Yeah, I've got some episodes where I talk about. Oh, that reminds me. I'm thinking of. I don't know if this would be of interest to people. I'm thinking of inviting people from inside the box to come on, like maybe once every 4 weeks. Maybe because like they've signed a game that I made in collaboration with Tiz Creole, and maybe we could have like a regular, every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks. I don't know which would work better because it's getting to the point where I'm actually too full up, which is a really nice situation to be in. But lovely to see you, and I have hope you enjoy your dinner. Does art have the freedom of speech? Not quite sure what you mean there, but I think that art is how we convey our speech, isn't it? Art isn't a thing that... I think art is our communication method rather than an entity in and of itself when considering the freedom of... I mean, yeah, like the human rights to freedom of speech or the American rule about freedom of speech, art isn't... I don't think it's right to consider art as a human, that art needs to keep saying that. I think that... So I would say that if people... There's no responsibility to us to put up or art and equalize it, whereas there is a responsibility for us to equalize and bring equality to people. So if a person doesn't have freedom of speech, that's an issue because potentially someone isn't able to express themselves. But if there's a work of art that was made 100 years ago, and as a society we have determined that we do not like it, it's not in our responsibility to make sure that this artwork continues. I guess that's... I hope... I don't know what you were really meaning by that question, but I guess that's my answer. Anyway, so getting back on topic, if there were ever a topic here. So, what's working? So I'm really excited to hear this, and you know what? I'm going to invite... so I've just signed up a game. It needs a lot more development, and so maybe what we could do is like every 2 weeks, like I could chat to one person on the team. Maybe later on that will be the artist. Maybe currently it could be like the developer or the person who signed it up, like why did they sign it up, or the person who works with me, like designing it, like why did they... And actually telling that story for a long series of shows. Like, I don't know if... Would that be interesting? And what should I do? Like every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks? Let me know. But yeah, that's... And so I think that I am trying to get more specific and try to share the stories that aren't just, okay, this is a story everyone's told. Improve suggestions for improvements. Welcome. Am I enjoying it? Yes, I am. How should I continue? Think what will happen after lockdown? So this is a big question. Again, I've gone. There will be a time when I want to be able to meet people in the morning. When I want to say, okay, this time I'm actually going to playtest on a Friday. When I will do those quick 15-minute streams where it's just, hey, hope everyone's good. If this is a good time, if you want your daily check, and then we've got the daily check, and everyone shares something that you're enjoying, and then we say goodbye, and that's it. This is a big question. What should I do when the clocks go back? So when the clocks go back, should I stick to 10 a.m. UK time, or should I stick to 11 a.m. UTC, also known as GMT? Wait, is it? No, it's 9 a.m. UTC, or also known as GMT, because UK is currently BST, which is summertime, which is GMT +1. Anyway, so the point is, if I change it, then that is going to make it worse for Americans and Kiwis. Sorry, not Americans, Australians and Kiwis. Sorry, Australians, that's I confused you. But basically, it's going to potentially make it worse for some people in the country. I don't know. I will discuss it with some potential guests. I asked Shem, they didn't express any opinion. And what would I do if I were in a different country? I think ultimately I've got, I think this is the last question. And this is me looking really far ahead, okay? If I were going somewhere for a holiday, I think I would probably either, yeah, I think I've just got to decide that when I get to it. Like, it's probable that I will be in Germany for a good few weeks in December. For those few weeks, I'm going to stick to the same time that I'm currently doing. Now, if I were going for a longer holiday, what would I do? If I were going for a holiday in a country where it were further away, and what will I do when, in a couple of years' time, when I emigrate to South Korea? I mean, I'm expecting that I'll want to change the time and stick it to a daily show, but there are going to be times when I say, you know what, this show is not going to happen on this day because I am traveling in a plane during these hours. And then I will resume, and it will be like the second season or something like that. Yeah. The fact that I am even thinking so far ahead, I think shows really that I am really enjoying this. Honestly, I have been enjoying this, and so I just want to, I say it quite often, but thank you everyone who's watching. It really means a lot to have people actually be there in an audience and occasionally chatting back. Now, I talked about the old contest, I talked about the stream. Wrap up. How am I generally? Okay. Oh. Okay, fine. Let me put up a banner. How am I generally? And also the last question. So I put up this banner because this I want this show to be a positive show, and if people see this banner, they can mute it and then unmute it when they see this banner go away. And I have tried to avoid expletives when possible, but I find the notion of Brexit infuriating. I do not personally support it. I think that it's going to be bad for the British economy. I think that it's going to cause a lot of difficulties for me personally when I'm importing stuff from Poland, when I manufacture in Poland and then get it delivered here. I'm now potentially going to have to start getting customs charges. Postage is going to go up from Britain to Germany. It's not a lot of my business, but it is a small amount. That is really messed up. I abhor Brexit. I do not support it in any way. I, especially when it's a relatively small area, as the EU is, I think that I am more in favour of open movement, and I think that's a lot of the rules that have been put into place from the EU have been good ones that have protected consumers. And yeah, I am not at all happy that this is happening. Frankly, how am I generally? I'm not. I am angry, I'm frustrated, I'm fed up, I'm sad at not seeing people, I'm feeling lonely at times, I'm feeling at points incredibly depressed. There's been a lots of times, okay, major trigger warnings, like I'm like really sometimes considering like major self-harm and things. And like it's just there's just been a lot of times when I've really felt like, yeah, I just can't deal with this. And yeah, there's been times when, frankly, knowing that I'm talking to someone, there's a nice thing about an obligation. There's a nice thing when I have to do a stream. The stream, I'm doing that with someone tomorrow. That gives me something to look forward to. Okay, I've got this obligation. People have paid me money for categorical. That sometimes, I know this sounds, I don't think it's if I had not engaged with Kickstarter, I don't know if I would be alive right now. Because it gives me a series of obligations. It gives me a series of, okay, I did in a Bind Junior, and that was like the lowest point in my life. And no, it's not. No, it's not your question. It's just like generally, this whole. And thank you very much, Antoinette. I really appreciate it. And like, it's not about Brexit. It's not about it's not about COVID. It's not about the fear of, passing something on to my parents when I go there. It's not just about feeling guilt whenever for every interaction that I've had. It's not just about the reminder that there's so much bleeping inequality in this world. It's not just about that. It's not just about the fact that I feel devoid of energy some days. It's about everything. Like, and so no, it's not like about any single thing. It's about everything. And like, when so the last, I don't think I've ever shared this on stream before, although I'm fairly public with my stuff, and I guess I trust people not to use that as ammunition against me. And yeah, because it also allows me to make friends. And like yeah, that leads into the whole thing of what we were talking about yesterday, Antoinette, where Richard was saying, being like having relationships with people is problematic if you want to have a business relationship as well, if you want to validate their stuff. And I'm happy for someone to say, you know what, Bez made this game and I think this is a bit rubbish. That is fine. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but frankly, I'm over it at this point. It's like a lot of people have given Yogi, 3 out of 10 or whatever, and I've had a 1 out of 10 rating. I've had incredibly negative reviews. I've had what I would call a bad review, where someone played 1.5 of the games in this deck and then reviewed 3.5 of the games that they didn't play. And so I hope that no reviewer is going to think, oh my god, we need to blanket Bez from sad stuff. We can't say that Bez's game is bad. That's the last thing that I wanted. Oh, thank you very much for the... Yeah. This is it. And hello, a Finnish guy said that he wanted to burn my first game. Oh my gosh. And, you know, at a certain point, you get over it. And I know that my game's not going to be for everyone, and that's fine. And as I say, I do not want any reviewer or any media person to say, oh my gosh, we can't say nasty things about Bez. Bez has, you know, depression, or Bez has, like, you know, these issues going on. Like, yeah, I do. I mean, everyone's potentially got issues. That's why I don't pick up a game and then say, hey, the person who made this game is an idiot. What were they thinking? Or I don't make it about the person. I don't make it about the author. I don't... You want to say, okay, this is an issue. Like, okay, this word choice was wrong. This mechanism might have been badly thought out. Okay, this game has the potential to go into into an infinite loop. Okay, this game literally, with 2 players, you go to a certain situation and then, yeah. And frankly, and so I'm not saying, so yeah, frankly, if someone were to say, oh, Bez is an idiot, how dare Bez make this game, then you're just not being a nice person. But if someone were to say, this game is a really badly designed game, I would be okay with that. If someone were to say, you know, I look back in Yogi right now in retrospect, and there's stuff that I could diss about it. Frankly, there's a lot that I could critique about it. The fact that there's exactly 1 card that's below the waist, 1 hand on the knee. Why is that card there? It's an anomaly, and it doesn't add enough to the game. That card could have been replaced with this card on touching forehead, and the game would have been just as much fun. I don't believe that 1 hand touching knee made that game better. It made the game worse. And also there are other more minor issues, but, like, you know, there are things wrong with my games, and like and for sure, if someone says, hey, you know, I'm trying to think, look, I don't want to force myself to talk about why my games are bad, and honestly, I'm quite proud of Yogi overall. But if someone were to say, hey, this game is silly and ridiculous, I don't like silly games, this is the worst of that garbage, well, the worst of that garbage, it's not the nicest word choice, is it? But if they say this is the worst of that stuff, then okay, for people who don't like that kind of game, that's totally fine. If you do like that kind of game, then maybe it's for you. And this was an actual thing. Someone said, this game is the worst of that garbage. Like, I remember that quote. And now it's like, yeah, I appreciate what they were actually saying. What they were saying was that this game epitomizes this kind of thing. And so it is genuinely the kind of thing where you'll like it if you like that sort of thing. And frankly, if you don't like dexterity, if you don't like those games, my envelopes, yeah, like, because I've not talked about it or shown a copy, here's Yogi. This is the Baltic version, which is trilingual. This is the Thai. I think this is Thai. Yeah, this is the Thai version, which I can't read because I'm not educated enough to read Thai. But anyway, so if you don't like that kind of game, you don't play it. If someone ends up saying, okay, this game by Bez is bad, that's fine. And I don't want people to hold their punches. I don't want people to hold back for me and see this and be like, oh, we can't talk, we have to say nice things about Bez. That's not how it is. But just remember when you're talking about a game that there is someone real who was invested. And you could say, okay, the color choice, it makes me feel queasy. I don't like that I'm green. And if someone says, oh, yeah, if someone says that, that's fine. If someone says, oh, the person who picked these colors is an idiot, just be nice when you're reviewing things. Just focus on the thing, not the person. Do you know what I mean? And be specific. This is like surely criticism 101. Don't just say, okay, this is terrible art. Say something like, okay, these bits are wrong. That's kind of part of the skill of what being a critic should be. Like saying, okay, not just this is a terrible game, but saying, well, considering this feels like a lightweight game and a game that I want to play with my friends in a lightweight social game way, but on the cards there's a lot of text. And for me, that juxtaposition, it results in a game that people need to read a lot, but then there's no payoff. And I don't like that aspect of the game. For example, that, and I'm not going to say right now which game I'm talking about, because if I were to say, then I feel like I need to talk more about the game. But that kind of analysis is what we should be talking about when we're reviewing games, when we're critiquing things. Hello, James. It is lovely to see you. Thank you for joining me virtually. I don't know how to express things anymore. It's a messed up world where, I would love to come to Essex and see you. James suggests focus your energy on things you can control and the people who value what you do and those whose company you enjoy being with. Thank you very much. And that's the thing, like we can focus on things. And that's what I try to do here. I try to focus on things where I'm like, let's talk about a brilliant thing that we've got all besides ourselves. Let's talk about the recent highlights. Let's talk about what's gone well. And I try to share that on Twitter. I try to take photographs of things that make me smile so I can look back and be like, yeah, life's not terrible. I have enjoyed things. And yeah, I manage. So yeah, I do have a problem with brushing my teeth. I'm very not proud of it at all. And I know that this is probably hurting my chances for, finding a romantic partner if they watch this. But it's something that I struggle with. And, sometimes when I'm doing that, it makes me, I'm going to read that how it's in a second. But, yeah, Frank, I try to focus on the highlights at the start. And at the end, for those who've not been here before, I always finish off with talking about what we're looking forward to and hopes and ambitions. And I invite everyone to share with me. And that's an important thing to me because, not only do I want people to, not only do I want to share what I'm looking forward to, but I also want to know that other people are having things to look forward to. And that's kind of a way of connecting. Like, what are we going to be engaging with? Do you know what I mean? And what can we share? And we can maybe share in each other's joys. And it's something that was really Sarah Reed, who was also a co-collaborator on, I'm just going to pick up one of the copies. This is not my own copy. This is someone else's copy, but Sarah Reed, there you go. Sarah Reed. There you go. Anyway, so Sarah Reed, co-contributor, has been doing this thing where they shared their highlights and it was just their achievements at the end of the day. And so what I try to do is I try to share what's my recent highlights, what's my achievements, and exercises if I've done any, and in a whole bunch of photos. And so yeah, I try to think about what is positive, but at the same time, yeah, there's a lot of messed up stuff. And yeah, that's it. Now, I'm going to quickly go in. On the flip side, though, I recently posted something new I am working on relating to that first game in an unrelated group. And someone replied that they had my game and play most weekends. So yeah, some people enjoy things, some people don't enjoy things. Nothing's for everyone. James says, Rule 101, don't read comments or reviews of your own products. Reviewers' main aim at the end of the day is their own self-publicity. When the reviewers have made their own successful games, then I'd listen to them. I am going to disagree with this. I disagree with, and sure, it's good to keep focusing on positive things, but it's good to acknowledge the negative as well. I think it's healthy to acknowledge the negative, to say, yes, this is the negative. Now, I think it was James, focus energy on things you can control. Like, once you focus on the negative, is like, what can we do about it? Can we do something about it? Do we have the energy to do something about it? Which is why right now I'm not really engaging a lot with racial inequality, because I have limited energy and I do not have the energy to do anything to it. Now, starting my breakfast. Yeah, I think that listening to feedback is super important. And so, yeah, I think that you've cast YouTubers in a bad light, frankly. I mean, I'm not just talking about Antoinette, because obviously Antoinette is a YouTuber who does reviews of things, but whoever it is, like, let's look at Shuts Up and Sit Down or The Dice Tower. Okay, maybe a large part of it is marketing, because frankly, you need to do marketing to get anything out there. But it's not just the self-publicity. I think most people are in it because they actually love games, because most people really get a strength. And this is like about the motivations of a reviewer. And I believe that most reviewers' motivations are just that they love games and they really want to listen to it. Talk about games or engage with the thing in some other format. Now, you don't need to have made a successful game to critique a game well. I mean, and if Martin Wallace, or let's pick someone even who's Alan Moon or Matt Leacock gives me a criticism on my game, does that mean more than someone else? In some extents, it does. In another sense, maybe no, it doesn't. It's like, who is the target audience? And so if I am showing it off to someone at a pub, or there's someone who randomly saw this game, what they really want is a toy, and what I'm trying to make is a toy, then maybe their input is actually more valuable than any kind of renowned designer. Because let's say me, I have a high threshold for complexity. If you tell me, okay, this is a worker placement auction game, I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I know what those things are. Okay, what kinds of auction? Wait a minute. Is this the first ever? And actually, now we talked about it. So, like, this is like the way that games get started by saying, like, is there any worker placements game with an auction mechanism in it? Like, that sounds interesting. Would you have a once around auction? Would it be an English auction? Would it be like a blind auction? What kind of auction? And is it traditional worker placement? Is it fixed locations? No, because I've seen all these things. And if you mix together a bunch of things into a game, I'm likely to be excited by that. But if you show it to someone who's new to games, like, James, if you are within my target audience, then I should be really focusing on what you say rather than what someone who's more familiar with games says. And I think that this is it. Neko-chan's said something really wise. Bad or good, reviews do provide valuable feedback for artists and designers. You just have to develop a thicker skin and not get affected by the negativity too much. Now, at this point, if someone's like, I mean, yeah, there you have to divorce yourself from your output. My drawings are not me. My games are not me. My music is not me. My writing is not me. I am my past arguably is not me. I am the combination of all of these things and many more. I am the combination of my relationships. We are all multifaceted creatures. We are all kind of, do you know what I mean? I mean, I know that I'm going off on a tangent, but I hope this is making sense. And so it's, yeah. And thank you so much for dropping by, Antoinette. It was lovely to see you, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you again. Lots of love. Now, James says, there's many ways to get valuable feedback. Reviews from random YouTubers isn't always the best way. I am going to say that personally, and okay, Clever Unicorn, some are in it for personal games, but most are in it to play interesting games. And most are happier to give a good review than give it a bad review. Yeah, that's a thing. There's a question of, do you listen to people? Now, I know that Jamie Stegmaier does not... this goes to the notion of self-preservation, really, because I know that Jamie Stegmaier doesn't watch or listen to or read reviews of their own products. Point blank. They say that they do not do it in order to not influence whether they give that person a game down the line or not. The point is that if, as a publisher, you only give games to people who are giving you positive reviews, then that's a conflict of interest. And if you've got a lot of clout, if your games are selling hundreds of thousands of copies, you're saying, well, we're only going to keep giving you games if you give us good reviews, then that's obviously not a great situation, because then the reviewers are motivated to give good reviews to a game when they might not really feel that it's a good game. But so someone says, I'm not watching any of this in order to not be influenced by that factor. Now, I can respect that, but I don't think it can possibly work that way. And I would really like to have a conversation with Jamie about this. And this is actually why I'm thinking of starting up a new show, like maybe once a week, where I talk to, you know, guests that I've specifically selected that I know that this time would be terrible for them. But it's like, okay, you know what, Jamie, for you, I'm going to do an extra live stream. And okay, like if I could get, there's a whole bunch of people who, like Elizabeth Hargrave, I'd love to chat to them, but I've not invited them onto this show because it's like 4 a.m. their time, something ridiculous like that. Now, obviously, if any Americans want to come onto this show, you're very welcome. I have nothing against Americans, and I've had one American on this show, the token American, but actually I've had, when I say the token American, the token person who's currently residing on America, I've even had Americans for Besday. But the point is that I think that this leads into the whole notion of self-preservation, where you're, by shielding yourself from this, I think that Jamie also talks about changing the Kickstarter notifications so they wouldn't get notifications of cancellations because they didn't like it, because it was making them feel sad. And that's fair. If what you need for your own mental health is to say, I'm not going to hear any of this information, then take care of your mental health. Do what you need to do. But I believe that I would prefer to have that information and then be able to say, okay, yeah, it's fine. I don't get massively upset by that. That's not, you know, anywhere near the top of what's upsetting me in life. Yeah, people giving me bad reviews, it's not a massive deal to me. And frankly, I almost relish it, because when it's a good negative review, sorry, I should separate bad reviews from negative reviews. Bad reviews, are arguably reviews which are done in a bad way, a sloppy review. A negative review is a critical thing. And this is it. I watch and read all reviews, good and bad, and try to learn everything I can. Through playtesting games, I think I can filter out useful feedback from feedback someone may be giving because that game just isn't for them individually. And these could be my own words. You have said exactly what I'm trying to say, so thank you. That is it. And that's basically all I have to say on the topic. So yeah, I guess that's us. Well, thank you everyone for watching. I guess that's me winding down. How am I feeling? I'm mixed. That's how I'm feeling, mixed. And always could be worse. So, yeah. To recap, I am excited about the L contest. It's going to be challenging to run this year, but I'm going to do my best job, and I am really excited to show a lot of these games to my parents next week. And also when, like, maybe after I come back, I'll see how the infection rates has gone on, and maybe I'll start going and showing it to more people in person. I really do not believe personally that virtual testing gives me useful feedback. I would be very happy for people to play test games in their own personal bubble if they wish to join in, and I will give you a free print and play copy of the deck if you wish to join in with that. To wrap up, oh yeah, the stream, I've been very much enjoying it. I need to think of exactly how long I do it and ways to make sure that it doesn't become a big thing that dominates my life. But I'm really enjoying this, and I think that this is something that I'm probably going to continue for a long time to come. How I'm generally, I'm mixed. And I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's been, parts of this for the past while. Firstly, I want to say thank you to all my guests. So as I look back through all my streams for the past wee bit, since episode 100, we've had Richard Denning, Rory, Chris and Layla came on, Alan Paul's been so amazing. We had that drawing and discussion, and Ella I love, and Calvin and Mark Harris going to have them on again soon. Saibepu, that was my first multilingual stream. It didn't work super well. It was a bit complicated. Digisprites, that was a good time. There are lovely folk from Scotland talking about my own game, talking about just about Kitty Cataclysm. Thank you to Jay. This is me giving thanks. Thank you to joining us, and thank you to Ellie Dix. Thank you to Lolvi for always joining up, and Lolvi, Alan Paul, and Calvin are my free regulars. They join in every 2 weeks. Thank you to them. Thank you to Phoebe, who's going to be coming on. Thank you to Yasin and KC and Dina and Simon Caruso and Emily and Lewis Shaw, who are now going to be regular guests. And thank you to Stella and Terrence, who are amazing, and Dave and Antoinette, who was... Don't tell them, but yeah, that was my favourite show. That was definitely up there. That was possibly my favourite show. Anyway, thank you to all these people, and thank you to you for agreeing to come on, and massive thanks to everyone who has been watching. So thank you to Odin, to Clever Unicorn Games, to Neko-chan, to oh my gosh, so many people, to Antoinette, Andrew January, James, and if I missed you, I'm very sorry. And even though they can't be here today, thank you very much to Xate for being a really nice moderator in general, and Thank you to Alan Oughton. Yeah, this is actually the first episode that Alan Oughton's missed. So Alan Oughton's been to 133 out of 134. So thank you. And it's like those people who come in. Antoinette popped in, and yeah, thank you to Antoinette. And did I say Antoinette's already? And thank you very much, everyone who joins in. And so if you want to watch, follow me. I am stuffbybez.com is my website, stuffbybez.bigcartel.com to buy my stuff. Twitter.com/stuffbybez where I tweet, where I share the most information. Instagram.com/stuffbez for pictures of things I'm making, things I'm playing, or just things that are pretty in life. I like to not post too much on Instagram. I like to post like at most once a day, maybe like once every few days. But Twitter and of course my streaming, like twitch.tv/stuffbybez, where I stream every day at 10 a.m. UK time, is a big thing. Facebook.com/thingsbybez is a smaller thing, and stuffbybez@gmail.com is my email. And that is somewhere that you can get in touch with me if you want to share suggestions for topics, or want to have a topic that maybe you would like to come onto the show, because you don't need to be an expert to have a good conversation, and that's what it's all about, having a good conversation. And so this is where we finish, and I say, what are you looking forward to? Hopes and ambitions, it's over to you for this final section. Oh, are you heading off, or are you just saying bye because you thought that I was heading off? I've got a whole bye-bye song before I actually head off. So, like, this is a point where if you're looking forward to anything, you can do it just before you run out. Like, do you have a food that you're looking forward to eating? Are you going on to someone else's stream? You're totally allowed to share. This is a stream that I'm going to. And then maybe I could even do a quick raid. Oh, that could be a thing. Maybe I could try a raid. I've never actually managed to do a raid before. I don't know how to do that. But, yeah, what are you looking forward to? What are your hopes and ambitions? I am looking forward to, I'm going to be chatting with Emma and Victoria Kanya and a bunch of other designers this evening as part of Shelfapalooza. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be quite interesting. They've got a show and tell section, which, I'm going to see how that goes. And it's going to be, really nice and fun. It's meant to be about design, but it's basically, here's a thing we made, let's talk about it. Here's a thing that someone else made, let's talk about it. Or is it someone else gave us? And here's something that's just pretty, let's talk about it. And a little further ahead, I am looking forward to seeing my parents on Sunday, and then we're going to have a big car ride together, and then and I'm hoping that everyone's safe. And so if you have anything that you are looking forward to, food. Is there any food that I've not got any exciting? Oh, you know what? I do have some nice tomatoes in the fridge. I got some tomatoes. I got some cucumbers. You know what's coming? Salad. So slice up some tomatoes, good bits of garlic. Maybe I'll fry up some garlic. Maybe I'll even put a fried egg on top. I'm enjoying the notion of this. That's what's going to have for my brunch. So feel free to share things you're looking forward to or hoping for. Feel free to share, spread the word. My next, I don't think this stream's been particularly one that people want to share, but if you want to find out about my next streams, you want to go to twitter.com/stuffbybez, and then there is a little link where right at the top where it will be a Google Calendar, and then this little link here, which is my pinned tweet, always at the top of the page. And so you will be able to find all the things that I'm about to do. And tomorrow it is Deductible with Chris Bucky. We will all be talking about that game that didn't quite make it into the top 5 of the LDEC contest. Then the next day we'll be talking about No Evil, which is not quite. Yeah, we played at it, had quite a few problems. We'll be talking about those problems and about probably about the responsibilities that a designer has to the safety of the players, which will be then leading into building communities via gaming with Tally Terrain, playing some games at 8 p.m. UK time, and safety and board games with Lolvi, which I'm really excited for. Anyway, there's a thing every, and you can see the next streams that are coming up. Oh, some of them have question marks, and Tabletopia is with the person B. So, like, yeah, I should probably start putting in a bit more description. But that is that. And so, yeah, I hope that you've had a good stream, and there's only one thing left to do, and that one thing, as always, is to say bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye-bye, everyone. Hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.